Listen, we just watched something wild go down. The Browns finally broke through and got a win that honestly felt like it took forever to arrive. On paper, yeah, it looks like a solid team victory. Everyone celebrates, the stands go crazy, and the scoreboard tells a happy story. But if you were really watching, if you paid attention to what was happening beyond the surface, you know this game was about way more than just winning. This was survival mode, plain and simple. Two things stood out above everything else. First, the defense showed up like absolute warriors when it mattered most. Second, Judkins put on a performance that had people rubbing their eyes in disbelief, wondering if what they were seeing was even real. But here's the thing that nobody can ignore. For every moment of celebration, there was tension bubbling underneath. Fans weren't just frustrated, they were boiling over. And it all came down to one decision that Coach Kevin Stefanski made that had everyone questioning his judgment. From the opening kickoff, something felt off. The energy wasn't right. The rhythm wasn't there. Cleveland needed something to change, some kind of spark to ignite the offense and get things moving. Instead, what did we get? The same old approach, the same predictable calls, and Dillon Gabriel under center making everyone uncomfortable. Both teams committed to pounding the rock, turning this thing into an absolute slugfest. It was physical, brutal, and honestly felt more like a heavyweight boxing match than a football game. Cleveland's entire offensive strategy revolved around one man, Judkins. And thank goodness they went that route because the dude was absolutely possessed. The very first time he touched the football, you could see it in his eyes. He spotted the opening in Miami's defensive front, hit that gap with violent intent, and then just exploded past everyone like they were traffic cones. One cut, one burst of speed, one incredible display of power, and suddenly he's in the end zone. The place went absolutely berserk. People jumping, screaming, hugging strangers, completely losing their minds. But that was just the appetizer. Every single time Judkins got the ball after that, he kept carving up Miami's defense like he had a personal vendetta, spinning away from tackles, making defenders miss in the open field, breaking through arm tackles like they were nothing. Each run told the same story over and over. This was his night, his moment to shine, and nobody in a Miami uniform had an answer for him. Judkins played like a man possessed, like he had something to prove to the entire world. His footwork was surgical, his vision was elite, his determination was off the charts. Everything about his game was perfectly dialed in. The way he could slip through the smallest gaps, read blocks like he had studied the playbook his entire life, and then drag multiple defenders for extra yards was genuinely unbelievable. By the time the final whistle blew, Judkins had racked up 3 explosive touchdown runs, and each one was better than the last. Every score showcased something different. The first one was pure speed and explosion. The second one was all muscle and power. The third one was pure heart and willpower that made defensive players reconsider their career choices. At times, it legitimately looked like Judkins was carrying the entire team on his back, while everyone else was just trying to keep pace. But even when you have a one-man wrecking crew putting on a show, it doesn't fix all your problems. The massive elephant in the room, the issue that overshadowed everything positive about this win, was Dillon Gabriel's performance at quarterback. Cleveland leaned heavily on the run game, and that was clearly the plan from the beginning. But football isn't one-dimensional. There were critical moments when the offense needed Gabriel to step up, make throws, and punish Miami for loading the box against the run. Instead, he completely folded under pressure. From the very first snap, you could see Gabriel was shaken. Miami came after him with everything they had. Blitzes from every angle, constant pressure, defensive chaos, and Gabriel had absolutely no answers. He took brutal sacks, froze up in clean pockets where he had time to throw, and missed wide open receivers that could have completely changed the momentum. His accuracy was all over the map, and his body language screamed frustration and doubt. You could practically feel the stadium losing patience every single time another pass sailed over someone's head or landed 3 yards short of the target. As the game dragged on, the offense kept hitting brick walls. The run game was doing its job beautifully, but when Miami adjusted their defensive scheme and started stacking 8 or 9 guys in the box, the Browns desperately needed balance. They needed the passing game to make Miami pay for that aggression. Gabriel couldn't deliver, yet somehow, in a decision that had fans absolutely shaking their heads in disbelief, Coach Stefanski refused to pull him. No backup got any reps. No change was made. Just blind, stubborn faith in a quarterback who clearly didn't have it that night. What was Stefanski thinking? That decision became the talk of the entire stadium and spread like wildfire across social media. Fans were screaming for change. People in the stands were chanting for something different. Twitter, Instagram, every corner of the internet was exploding with the same demand. They wanted to see Shedeur Sanders take the field. They wanted energy, excitement, and someone who could actually deliver when the lights were brightest. The timing couldn't have been more perfect for a quarterback switch. The run game was dominating. The defense was playing out of their minds. All the offense needed was someone who could make plays through the air and put Miami away for good. This situation was tailor-made for Shedeur. His composure under pressure, his ability to read defenses quickly, his knack for making magic happen when plays completely break down. All of that could have transformed this game instantly. Just imagine it for a second. Sanders rolling out of the pocket, keeping Miami's defense off balance, mixing his mobility with the devastating power of the run game. It would have been the perfect 1-2 punch that could have ended this game early and made a real statement. The fans knew it. The commentators were hinting at it. Even players on the sideline looked like they were waiting for that moment when Sanders would jog onto the field and take command. But it never happened. Stefanski doubled down on Dillon Gabriel, and the offense kept sputtering along like an old car running on fumes. You could feel the frustration radiating from every corner of the stadium. Every drive that stalled out, every missed read, every wasted opportunity just added to the collective disappointment. It's genuinely hard to understand why Stefanski held so tightly to a game plan that clearly wasn't working. Maybe he was worried about crushing Gabriel's confidence. Maybe he felt some sense of loyalty to his starting quarterback. Or maybe, and this might be the real answer, he wasn't ready to open the door to the Shedeur Sanders era just yet. Whatever the reasoning behind it, it ended up being a massive missed opportunity that might define how people remember this game. The stage was perfectly set, the conditions were ideal, and yet no change came. No spark was ignited, no gutsy decision was made. That hesitation might haunt this team moving forward. Even with Gabriel struggling and Stefanski's stubborn play calling leaving everyone baffled, one group absolutely refused to quit: the defense. These guys came out swinging like their pride and reputation were on the line. While the offense was stumbling over itself, the defense turned this entire game into an absolute street fight and made sure Miami never felt comfortable for even a single second. They were aggressive, locked in, and ready to destroy anything Miami tried to do. Every time the Dolphins attempted to get any kind of offensive rhythm going, boom, Cleveland's defense slammed the door shut before it could even breathe. They forced critical turnovers at key moments. They pressured Miami's quarterback into panicked, desperate throws. They kept the Dolphins' offense looking completely lost and frustrated for the entire 60 minutes. Was it perfect? Number. But it was the kind of gritty, physical, heart-over-hype football that wins games when literally everything else is falling apart around you. Leading that defensive storm was none other than Myles Garrett, the absolute monster in orange and brown. Garrett played like he was on a personal mission to destroy Miami's entire offensive game plan, flying off the edge with violent intent, blowing up plays in the backfield before they could develop, and haunting Miami's quarterback from the opening kickoff all the way to the final whistle. He was everywhere at once, forcing fumbles, wrecking protection schemes, and sending Miami's offensive line into complete chaos and confusion. Every snap felt like a race between Garrett and the football, and spoiler alert, Garrett usually won that race. Without his presence and that absolutely ferocious defensive performance, this game could have slipped away fast. But they refused to let that happen. Garrett's intensity and energy set the tone for everyone else. His teammates matched that energy, fed off it, and together they completely smothered Miami's rhythm before it could ever build any momentum. When everything was said and done, it wasn't the offense that saved the day. It was that relentless, no-nonsense, suffocating defense that locked everything down and sealed the victory for Cleveland. Myles Garrett wasn't just a difference maker in this game. He was the game changer, the heartbeat of the entire defensive unit. His presence on that defensive line was what held everything together. Every snap, every rush, every bone-crushing hit carried massive weight and importance. Without Garrett setting that ferocious tone and leading with that intensity and fire, there's absolutely no chance the Browns walk away with this win. But as dominant and impressive as the defense was, it's completely impossible to ignore the giant shadow looming over this victory: the offense, and more specifically, Dillon Gabriel. Gabriel's repeated inability to hit open receivers or deliver in critical moments completely handcuffed the offensive game plan. Every missed throw felt heavier than the last. Every drive that stalled out was more frustrating than the one before it. His struggles forced Cleveland to lean almost entirely on Judkins, who once again played like an absolute warrior and gave everything he had. But that's not sustainable long term. You can't keep asking one single man to drag an entire offense on his shoulders while the quarterback looks completely lost out there. At some point, the excuses run out and reality sets in. This game proved that time might have already arrived. The Browns can't keep pretending that weak, inconsistent quarterback play is just part of the process, or growing pains. It's not. It's actively holding this team back from reaching its true potential. The defense can keep saving games with incredible performances. Judkins can keep running through walls and defenders, but if the man under center can't consistently move the chains or strike through the air when needed, the team's ceiling stays frustratingly low. That's exactly why the noise around this issue is getting louder and louder with each passing week. Fans, analysts, media members, and even some quiet voices inside the locker room are all saying the same exact thing. Bring in Shedeur Sanders. Give this offense new life, a new rhythm, a new leader who can actually execute. The defense has done its job week after week. Judkins has absolutely done his. But football isn't a one-dimensional sport where you can just rely on two elements. You need balance, you need precision, and you need real confidence at the quarterback position. So now the question burns brighter and more urgent than ever before. Can the Browns really keep surviving game after game, relying solely on defense and the ground game? Or is it finally time to hand the keys to the offense to the young player everyone's been desperately waiting to see? Because without a legitimate quarterback leading the charge and making plays when it matters most, this team isn't chasing championship glory. They're just chasing survival, barely getting by each week. Now that the dust has settled and everyone's had time to process what just happened, the same question keeps coming up everywhere you look. What exactly is Coach Stefanski waiting for? The signs are right there in front of everyone, flashing in bold letters that can't be ignored. This team has all the necessary tools: a monstrous elite defense, a running back who can tear through any defensive front, and a fan base that's absolutely desperate for something real to believe in after years of disappointment. Yet week after week, game after game, the Browns keep dancing around the same glaring problem without addressing it head on. The quarterback position. Cleveland can't keep pretending everything's fine and under control while the offense crawls through mud and struggles to find any consistency. Every game feels like deja vu, like we're watching the same movie over and over. The defense constantly bails everyone out. Judkins carries the offensive load on his back, and Gabriel struggles to connect on even the simplest, most basic plays. This isn't about hate or being unfair to Gabriel, it's about facing reality. You simply can't win big, meaningful games, let alone seriously chase playoffs and championships, with a passing attack that can't maintain consistency for 4 full quarters. That's precisely why so many people are turning their attention and their hope towards Shedeur Sanders. His poise under pressure, his natural mobility and athleticism, his ability to think quickly on the fly and adapt. That's exactly what this offense desperately needs and has been missing. Imagine for a moment pairing Sanders' improvisational skills and playmaking ability with Judkins' raw power and consistency. It would create absolute chaos and nightmares for opposing defenses. And beyond just the on-field production, it would give Cleveland something they genuinely haven't had in years: real, tangible hope. The crowd would rally behind him instantly. The locker room energy would completely shift, and suddenly every single drive would feel dangerous and exciting again instead of predictable and frustrating. But until Stefanski finally makes that move and shows the courage to make a change, the Browns will keep walking this impossibly tight rope between massive potential and crushing frustration. The question at this point isn't whether Sanders is ready to play at this level. It's whether Stefanski has the guts, the courage, and the vision to let him prove it on the field. Fans aren't blind to what's happening. They see the situation clearly. They feel the growing tension every single week, and they're absolutely tired of hearing excuses and explanations that don't lead to any real change. It's decision time in Cleveland. Stick with a quarterback who's rapidly running out of chances and goodwill, or hand the football to a young star who might just change change absolutely everything about this team's trajectory. One move, one bold decision could completely flip the entire season and maybe, just maybe, rewrite the Browns' future for good. If there's one thing Cleveland fans know better than anyone, it's drama and disappointment, and this quarterback situation is rapidly turning into a full-blown soap opera that everyone's watching unfold. You've got Stefanski clinging to his veteran quarterback like it's his last lifeline in a storm. Meanwhile, Shedeur waits patiently in the wings, ready to shake the whole stadium and electrify everyone with just one snap. The tension surrounding this situation is so thick you could slice it with a helmet. Everyone inside and outside the organization is quietly whispering the same question. How much longer can this possibly go on? Each week that passes without any change feels like another missed opportunity slipping away. The locker room knows it deep down, the media knows it and talks about it constantly, and the fans definitely know it and aren't shy about expressing their opinions. The energy in conversations completely shifts the moment Sanders' name gets brought up. It's like electricity suddenly fills the air. People can see the spark, the charisma, the natural leadership ability that's just waiting to burst out once he finally gets that call from the coaches. Meanwhile, Gabriel's body language on the sideline and on the field tells its own story without words. Frustration, hesitation, self-doubt. This isn't about being hateful or unfair to him personally. It's just honest football analysis. Stefanski's loyalty to Gabriel might come from a genuinely good place. Maybe he wants to protect his player mentally. Maybe he wants to keep the peace in the locker room and avoid controversy. But loyalty alone doesn't win championships. Results do. And right now, the results are shaky at absolute best. The Browns can't keep banking on Judkins and Garrett to save them every single Sunday like clockwork. That's not a real strategy for long-term success. That's just survival mode, barely scraping by each week. The truth that's becoming harder to ignore is that the team's future might already be sitting on that bench right now, helmet in hand, waiting patiently for his moment to arrive. Sanders doesn't just bring raw talent and physical ability, he brings change, energy, and hope. And Cleveland's been absolutely starving for all of that for literal decades. All it takes is one bold call, one moment of real courage from Stefanski to finally say the words everyone's waiting to hear. It's time, because if he doesn't make that move soon, he risks way more than just losing a few games. He risks losing the locker room's trust and belief. He risks losing the fan base's support and patience. And maybe, just maybe, he risks losing his own job. The city is ready for a spark. The team is ready for a major shift in energy and direction. The only question that remains is whether the coach is ready to make it happen. By now, the buzz and conversation around Cleveland isn't just background noise anymore. It's a full-blown roar that can't be ignored. Everywhere you look, from sports talk radio shows to online fan forums to barbershops and bars, the topic dominating every conversation is exactly the same. When is Shedeur Sanders finally getting his shot to play? The people have spoken loud and clear, and the city's energy is shifting dramatically and quickly. This isn't just about a simple quarterback controversy anymore. It's become something much bigger. It's about what kind of team the Browns want to be moving forward into the future. You can genuinely feel it in the air everywhere you go. Frustration mixed with anticipation and hope. Every single time the offense takes the field, fans hold their breath collectively, waiting and hoping for something to finally click into place. But when it doesn't happen again, the murmurs and complaints start all over. The truth that's becoming impossible to deny is that this isn't just about Gabriel's individual struggles anymore. It's about Cleveland's entire identity as an organization and a team. Are they a franchise that settles for safe, comfortable choices, or are they finally ready to take a real risk to chase actual greatness? Shedeur Sanders represents everything Cleveland's been desperately missing for years. Confidence that radiates, swagger and charisma, that natural, I got this energy that can lift an entire locker room and change the culture instantly. He's the kind of player who walks into a building and changes the entire vibe immediately just by being there. You can see it clearly in his body language on the sideline. You hear it in his interviews and how he carries himself. You feel it in his calm demeanor under pressure. The kid just gets it on a fundamental level. And honestly, pairing that infectious energy and confidence with Judkins' dominance on the ground and Garrett's chaos and havoc on defense could create something truly special and genuinely unstoppable. But until that long-awaited moment moment finally arrives. The Browns remain stuck in this frustrating limbo. They're too talented and too good to completely give up on the season, but they're also too hesitant and too conservative to rise higher and reach their true potential. Every single week that Stefanski delays what feels increasingly inevitable, the pressure builds and intensifies. And eventually, something's absolutely got to give because this can't continue forever. Because this city and these fans don't just want wins on the scoreboard. They want belief in something bigger. They want fire and passion. They want purpose and direction. And right now, every single sign points clearly to Shedeur being the one person who can bring all of that to life. So the only real question left is this: how much longer can Cleveland possibly wait before destiny kicks the door down and forces change? At this point, it's not even a legitimate debate anymore among reasonable people. It's a countdown that everyone's watching tick away. You can feel it building every single week like a massive storm gathering on the horizon. The fans can see it coming clearly. The media can sense it and smell it in the air. And deep down in their hearts, the locker room knows it too, even if nobody says it out loud publicly. Shedeur Sanders' time is coming, and it's coming soon. It's not a matter of if anymore. It's purely a matter of when. The whispers leaking from inside the facility are getting progressively louder and harder to ignore. Players are quietly saying things in private conversations like, "He's ready and it's time." Coaches are glancing at the practice field just a little bit longer when Sanders is taking reps with the second team. Reporters are dropping hints that a major change could be closer than anyone's willing to publicly admit. It's like everyone in the organization knows a massive secret that's just waiting to explode into the open. Meanwhile, Dillon Gabriel is trying desperately to hold his ground and maintain his starting position, but the pressure is absolutely crushing. Every single missed throw adds more fuel to the fire burning around him. Every failed drive that ends in a punt tightens the spotlight even more. You can almost see it clearly in his eyes during games. He knows without question that the walls are closing in around him, and while Stefanski keeps publicly preaching patience and telling everyone to trust the process, fans are rapidly running out of both patience and trust in that process. Cleveland isn't the kind of city that sits quietly and passively while obvious talent rides the bench unnecessarily. They've been through far too much heartbreak over the decades, too many painful rebuilds that went nowhere, too many seasons that ended with disappointment and maybe next year promises that never materialized. What they desperately crave now is a real spark, something genuine and authentic to believe in again after so much pain. And Shedeur Sanders represents that spark perfectly. The attitude and confidence, the poise and leadership, the game-changing potential that could transform everything overnight. It's everything this team and this city have been missing for so long. So now it's absolutely do or die time for Stefanski as a head coach. Keep sticking stubbornly with the safe, conservative play and risk watching the entire season slowly slip away. Or finally make the bold move that could legitimately change everything about this franchise's trajectory. Because once Sanders finally hits that field and takes his first snap as the starter, everything shifts instantly. The energy throughout the building changes. The crowd's enthusiasm explodes. The belief comes flooding back. And when that moment happens, Cleveland won't just be sitting around waiting passively for another win. They'll be witnessing in real time the start of a completely new era. The decision to ride it out with Dillon Gabriel might have barely worked this one time, but let's be completely real and honest here. That kind of risky gamble won't always pay off, especially moving forward. Against tougher, more talented teams down the stretch, that same hesitation and conservative approach could end up costing the Browns in massive ways. This particular win was a fortunate mix of pure grit, some luck, and absolutely brilliant defensive execution. But if the offense doesn't evolve and improve dramatically, those cracks everyone's worried about will start showing fast and wide. So let's talk about it honestly. Browns Nation, was Stefanski actually right to stick with Gabriel through the struggles, or did he completely miss the perfect opportunity to unleash Shedeur Sanders and bring some genuine electricity to this stagnant offense? Fans everywhere you look are split completely down the middle on this question. Some people argue that staying the course builds confidence and stability. Others say it's just fear and stubbornness disguised as loyalty. And honestly, both sides make valid points worth considering. Just imagine what could have realistically happened if Sanders had stepped in during that game while the defense was absolutely dominating and Judkins was running completely wild. That could have been the precise spark that turned a solid, respectable win into a true statement game that sent shockwaves through the league. Instead, Cleveland walked away with the W on the scoreboard, but also carrying a massive ton of unanswered questions about what comes next and where this team is really headed. Because as genuinely good as the defense and Judkins performed, they simply can't carry this entire team on their backs forever. That's not realistic or sustainable. The Browns are standing right now at a critical crossroads that will define their season. Stay cautious and conservative, hoping desperately for stability and that things somehow work out, or make the bold, gutsy move that could completely redefine their entire season and possibly their future as a franchise. If they really want to compete seriously for something bigger than just barely making the playoffs, the quarterback situation absolutely can't be ignored or pushed aside any longer. The time for tough decisions has arrived. So what do you honestly think about all this? Did Stefanski make the right call by sticking loyally with Gabriel, or did he let a golden opportunity slip right through his fingers? Could Sanders have turned the tide earlier and changed the entire complexion of the game? Or was this win actual proof that the current plan still works well enough? The debate continues to rage on with no clear answer in sight, and it's not going away anytime soon.